Hey, Tony here. Today we'll go over all of the films that I watched during the month of October, so stick around. So today I wanted to go over all of the titles that I watched during the month of October. It was a huge month, 31 days. I did see a lot of films in the theater. My majority of films that I watched during the month of October were at least 31 days of horror movies or Halloween, spooky type films during the month. So there will be 31 days worth of that. Plus I did see some other films during the month that were not horror films. But I am going to be using my Letterboxd account. If you'd like to follow along with me, I do have that link down below. Okay, for the first film that I rewatched The Strangers Chapter 1. I wanted to see this one before I went to the theater to see The Strangers Chapter 2. The Strangers Chapter 1, I gave it 2 stars and a heart. I remember watching this one the first time in the theater. I liked it for what it was, but it wasn't as good as I anticipated it being. But the second time watch, I enjoyed it a little bit more. And so, definitely 2 stars and a heart. I really did enjoy it. The Strangers Chapter 2, when I went to the theater to see it, I also gave it 2 stars and a heart. The Strangers Chapter 2 was not as good as Chapter 1, but I do like the way that they continued the story. One thing that bothered me about it was it did get really repetitive throughout the second half of it, but still 2 stars and a heart. Okay, next up I watched The Strangers, the original. Still enjoyed it. It had been a long time since I had seen this one. I gave it 3 stars and a heart. It is a really good stalking type film. I do like some of the graphic details from it, and yeah, highly recommend you check it out. Now, one of my favorite Strangers films is The Strangers Pray at Night. This right here was a second time watch. I hadn't seen it since it was first released. I really loved this one. Even upon the second time watch, I enjoyed it a lot better, a lot more than I did the previous time, I guess. But it had been so long, I didn't really remember much about it. But definitely a great story. I gave it 3 stars and a heart. To me, I would compare it to the first one, and I really enjoyed the soundtrack in The Strangers Pray at Night. Okay, the next film I watched was a first time watch, and that was The Descent. I had never seen this one before. Wanted to check it out. Really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the creatures. I enjoyed the darkness of it, the claustrophobic feel of it. I gave it 2.5 stars and a heart. And then afterwards I watched The Descent Part 2. I didn't enjoy it as much as the first one. It wasn't as dark as the first one, but there were a lot of creature effects. I liked the way that the story continued on. I gave it 1.5 stars and a heart. Okay, next up, I watched As Above, So Below. I had seen this one before, but it had been a long time since I had watched it. And to keep on the same kind of theme of The Descent, I thought this would be a good time to watch this one again. I gave it 2.5 stars and a heart. I did enjoy the story. There was a lot of it that I did not remember, but the story made more sense this time around in my mind. And I thought it was pretty creepy at times, and a good story to follow along, so I really enjoyed it. Okay, next up, I watched Clown in a Cornfield. I gave this one 2.5 stars and a heart. I thought this right here was a really good slasher film. I do like the way that they did the story. They did reveal the villains too early, I think. But there were some really great kills in this film, and I really did enjoy that. Okay, next up, I watched The Eyes of My Mother. This right here was a film that I just blindly bought a while back. I never did check it out. It's a really good, kind of like a, I don't know how to describe it. There's the cover. But I gave this one 2 stars and a heart. It was a very slow-paced movie. It's almost like it is based off of someone that is kind of isolated away from everybody. It's not a very horrific type film, but still a very creepy film, and would highly recommend you check it out. Okay, next up was Devil. This right here was a first time watch. Someone had recommended that I check it out, so I bought it and checked it out. Really enjoyed it. I gave it 3 stars and a heart. I do like the fact that the story starts just right off the bat, very fast paced. There was a lot of things going on in this film. It is pretty much a one location type film, and it is a mystery to figure out who is doing what, and I really enjoyed that part of it. I gave it 3 stars and a heart and would highly recommend people check that one out. Okay, next up I watched Ouija and Ouija Origin of Evil. So some people pronounce this Ouija. I just try to pronounce it the way I see it, so I may not be saying it correctly. But I did watch both of these films. I hadn't seen either one of them before. The first one I gave 2 stars and a heart. I did enjoy it. I thought that what they did with it was really good. I know a lot of people didn't like the first one and really enjoyed the second one. The second one I gave 2.5 stars and a heart. I enjoyed it also. I liked the way that it continued the story. I do like the fact that we got the movie, the first movie, and it told what it told. And then the second movie kind of expounded on that and gave us some backstory, which I really liked. I thought they were both well done, and I think they go very well together. Separating both of them, saying one's better than the other, to me they were both equally as good. Maybe some of the characters might have been a little bit annoying in the first one, but overall I thought this was a good set of films. Okay, next up, I rewatched Tron Legacy because I had never seen it before. I watched Tron Legacy because I hadn't seen it since it was first released in the theater, and I wanted to go see Tron Ares. So I rewatched this one. I gave this one 2.5 stars and a heart. I do enjoy this film. I think it's got a really good visual style, the music, a good storyline. So very happy to have watched it. And then I went and saw Tron Ares. Gave it 3 stars and a heart. I actually enjoyed it more than this Tron Legacy. I think it was very visually appealing. The theater we saw it in was IMAX 3D, and it just was very entertaining, and definitely looking forward to owning that one on physical media. I know a lot of people didn't like Tron Ares because of one of the cast members, but overall I thought it was a very well done film. So highly recommend people check it out if they haven't seen it. Okay, next up I watched Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman. So I watched some of the films from the Wolfman collection. I needed some films that were easier to watch, that didn't take as much time, because I was throwing in some of these other films. But Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman, I gave it 2 stars and a heart. I thought it was very well done. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the atmosphere and the storyline. And same thing goes with Werewolf of London. I gave it 2 stars and a heart. These are 2 films that I had never seen before. I do enjoy the Wolfman movies. I enjoyed the Universal Monster movies, and I think these 2 were really good additions to those. So highly recommend that people check those out. I do want to actually watch all of the films in all of these collections other than the main film. So maybe the next Halloween season I might do that. Okay, next up, I watched this film called Stay Out of the Attic. I gave it 1 star, no heart. I didn't care for this film. And to be honest with you, I don't really remember much about this film. I am looking at some of the images on the back. Nothing rings a bell. So to me, that's a sign of a pretty poor made movie. So Stay Out of the Attic, I would stay away from. Okay, next up, I watched The Black Phone. I haven't seen The Black Phone since I first saw it in the theater back when it was released. I wanted to revisit this before I went and saw Black Phone 2. The Black Phone is excellent. I gave it 3.5 stars and a heart. I really enjoyed the story. I enjoyed the characters. The young actors I thought were really entertaining, especially the little sister. She had a pretty entertaining role as far as humor. She did have a foul mouth, but really enjoyed The Black Phone. I thought it was a great story, and you get to learn more about these kids. And then what I enjoyed about Black Phone 2 is it expounds on these same characters and the same story, but with a bigger focus on the supernatural and the abilities of these two young people. One being able to hear from the dead, and one being able to see visions of the dead. So I thought Black Phone 2 was a really good, entertaining film. Okay, next up I watched The Curse of La Llorona. I thought I had never seen this one before, but after starting to watch it, I realized that I had seen it before. I know a lot of people don't like this film. I actually enjoyed it. I gave it 2 stars and a heart. I thought it was creepy enough. I thought the lore of the story was entertaining, different. I liked the actors in this. So 2 stars and a heart. I'm very happy to still have that one in the collection. Okay, next up was a movie that I didn't care much for because I was really wanting to focus on horror movies throughout the month. So when I saw Megan 2.0, I didn't realize how drastically they had changed the story to be more of a action type film. I still enjoyed what they did with it. I gave it 2 stars and a heart. So it was worth watching. But I was really looking more toward a horror aspect of it. A lot of things were going on in Megan 2.0. I didn't like all of it, but still I thought it was pretty well done. Okay, next up I went to the theater and I saw Roof Man. I really enjoyed it. It's a story based off of true events, a true person, and you do get to see glimpses of that at the end of the film. But the story was entertaining. I gave it 3 stars and a heart. I thought that the way they told the story kind of kept you interested, and I thought that the cast was really well selected. So definitely looking forward to checking that one out again and adding that one to my collection. Okay, next up, that same day I watched in the theater the AMC Scream Unseen feature was Shelby Oaks. So I was able to see that early. I was happy that I was able to finally get to see this film that everybody had been talking about. I didn't love it as much as some people loved it. I gave it 2 stars and a heart. I didn't really enjoy the story up until toward the final act. It kind of took a while to get there. I do enjoy found footage type films, but this one just felt kind of mediocre to me. But I do like the way that the story kind of turned out. I thought that the lead actress in this film did a really great job, and it was visually appealing, but it wasn't the best thing that I've seen. Okay, next up, I watched a film based off of a recommendation. It wasn't really a horror type film. It was called K-Pop Demon Hunters. I know that it had been playing in the theater where I live. There's like a sing-along version. I thought, okay, this is probably a big deal. Go ahead and check it out. It said Demon Hunters in the title, but I didn't really care for this. I gave it 1 star, no heart. I don't know that I want to revisit it. But it wasn't, I don't know, it was kind of I just didn't care for the story. Ain't no sense in talking about it anymore, I guess. Next up, I watched Hellfest. I've been wanting to see this one for a while. I never did check it out until this Halloween season. I really enjoyed Hellfest. I gave it 2 stars and a heart. I do love films based off of haunted attractions. This one had a lot of haunted attraction scenes in it. I do like the fact that this person was stalking this group of young people. It had some pretty good kills, and so very happy that I was able to see it. Okay, next up, I watched Watcher. This right here has Micah Monroe in it, and it is about this woman who has moved to I can't remember what location they moved to, but they moved to another country, I do believe. I can't remember which country. But anyways, she notices that there is a man that looking through the window of the apartment complex. And it's a thriller type film. It was very, very, very slow paced, and it didn't really get good until the second half for me. I gave it 2 stars and a heart. What really made the film for me was the second half. It got more intense and really brutal, and I loved that. And if you've never seen Watcher, go ahead and check it out. I think it's worth a watch. I gave it 2 stars and a heart. Okay, next up, I watched The Cursed. This is another one that I had been wanting to see for a while. Really loved this film. I thought it was very entertaining. It had a lot of graphic kills in it. A great story. I gave it 3 stars and a heart. And it is a... I don't know, it's really hard to explain or to describe. Almost like a period piece with a folklore type story where things happen, and the way that they presented it was excellent. If you've never seen The Cursed, definitely check it out. Okay, next up I watched Sisters. This is a Brian De Palma film. I didn't realize that I had already seen this one before in the past. So as I was watching it, it kind of came back to my memory that I had seen this one. I gave it 2 stars and a heart. It does have some great characters in it. Pretty good storyline. It does feel dated. It is from 1972, so definitely it is dated. But I really enjoyed the special features afterward, which I think it made me appreciate the film a little bit more. But very happy that I was able to rewatch that. Okay, next up were some non-horror films that I had to watch for a live stream that I was being a part of. So I watched Behind Enemy Lines. Owen Wilson, Gene Hackman, really enjoyed this story. I gave this one 2.5 stars and a heart. I did realize that a lot of people did not like this film. I actually enjoyed it. I really was entertained. It kept my attention the whole time, which is a good thing, and yeah, very happy that I was finally able to see that. Next up, I watched In the Electric Mist. This right here, of course, has Tommy Lee Jones and John Goodman in it. Didn't care for this. I gave it 1.5 stars, no heart. Very boring, very slow paced, very repetitive. A lot of things happen, but nothing happens, so didn't really care for that. I did watch Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2. I liked it probably a smidgen more than the original, the first one. There were a lot of good visual kills in this one, but the story was still stupid. I gave that 1 star, no heart. Okay, then lastly I watched Joe Bell, based on a true story. This has been in my collection a long time. I didn't realize what the story was about. Like I said, it was a blind buy. I saw Mark Wahlberg was in it, and I saw that it was based on a true story, so I purchased it. Gave it 2 stars and a heart, and enjoyed the special features afterwards to kind of tell what happened. I don't know if the special features or the way that the film ended may have explained the true story with video clips, news clips, or whatever. But it is about a man who walks across the United States going toward New York to tell the story about his son that was bullied in school and how that affected their lives. And I just really liked it, about a father wanting to talk about his son. Okay, next up I went to the theater. I saw Good Boy. I enjoyed it. It's a story told in the perspective of a dog who has moved into this house with his owner, who is sickly, and the darkness and the visuals from the dog's sight of some creepy things. You know, it didn't really, there really wasn't much of a story as far as where you get the perspective of what's going on. You know, people aren't talking constantly. You don't, you know, really you're just seeing what the dog sees. So it was an easy watch. I gave it 2 stars and a heart. I really enjoyed the end of the film where they showed how they worked on this film throughout the year with this dog. And I don't know, I just liked it. It was creepy enough. It was dark enough. You do see shadows and different things. So I enjoyed it. Afterwards, I saw the AMC Screen Unseen, and they showed the movie Christie. It's a biopic about a female boxer, and I really enjoyed it. I enjoy biopic stories, especially if it's based off of sports. And this right here was very well done. Sydney Sweeney was the main character in this, and then the person who plays her trainer and later on her husband, I can't remember what his name is all of a sudden, but they gave some really great performances. Especially Sydney Sweeney. I thought she did very well becoming this person. I gave it 3 stars and a heart. If you do have the opportunity to see this one, definitely go check it out, especially if you like biopics. Okay, next up, I watched I Walked with a Zombie, and then I watched The Seventh Victim. So I've had this in the collection for a while. Unfortunately, both of these films did not do it for me. I didn't really care for either one of them. They both got 1.5 star. They didn't get a heart. I don't know that I care to revisit these. They're old, you know, they're older films, and they're both from 1943, and they do feel dated. There were some visual elements I thought were could be pretty scary, I guess, to some people. But the stories were very slow, but visually they looked really well done, these films, for 1943. But they just weren't scary enough for me. I really do enjoy a good ghost story or haunted house or something like to that effect for that time period. And these were just kind of mediocre to me, unfortunately. Okay, next up I watched Until Dawn. This is another one that I didn't really care much for. I gave it 1.5 star, no heart. I do enjoy these type of films to where it's almost like a Groundhog Day or Happy Death Day, to where the day repeats and repeats and repeats. But the way that they did this story was very dull. I didn't really care for the characters. It got repetitive and kind of convoluted toward the end. Kind of hard to keep up with. I just kind of lost interest. So I don't recommend you check it out. Then the last film that I watched during the month of October was Corpse Bride. I had never seen this one before. I do enjoy these type of animated films, especially with Tim Burton involved. And I thought this was very well done. I gave it 2.5 stars and a heart. Visually very beautiful on the 4K, with a 4K scan. And the story was entertaining. It does put me in the mind of Frankenweenie and Nightmare Before Christmas, those type of films, and so very enjoyable. If you've never seen Corpse Bride, this is the release to get. Definitely see it on 4K. I think it was great. So those are all of the films that I watched during the month of October. I did see quite a bit. Hopefully you were able to see a lot of films during October. I do usually focus on certain films during the month of October. Like I usually watch Halloween 2, and some other things, but I wanted to kind of do some different titles this year, especially titles that I hadn't seen before. So it was nice to revisit. It was nice to visit some new films this past October, but I do miss seeing some of the scarier films. Anyways, thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Hopefully you were able to see a lot of good films during the month of October. Please leave me a comment below. Let me know some of the titles that you watched, and let me know some of the titles that I've watched that you've seen also, because I really do enjoy reading your perspective of these films. You know, there may be some things that I might have missed for these that I gave a lower score. So definitely leave those comments below. But thanks for taking the time to watch this video, and we will see you next time.